good and the bad news. The good news is that everybody that's a speaker is going to be very limited in what their remarks are going to be. Is that the good news or not? The bad news is to those that are speaking. If we go on and on, there are how many people scheduled to speak?
We got like 7.
7. So if everybody gets 5 minutes, you'll be here till 5 o'clock tonight. Because you know what that means. All right. See? Come and have a seat. Lean against something. Sit on something. Sit on a rock. All right. Who's going to MC this?
I'm going to MC it.
All right, buddy.
60 hours.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Jonathan Gulliver. I'm the State Highway Administrator, Mass DOT. I do have a little bit of more bad news. That's not the only time you're going to hear from Mayor Mazzarella today. He'll be speaking again in a few minutes. So, good morning, and thank you all for coming. These are always great openings for us. You know, I want to welcome everybody here today to celebrate the official opening of the first phase of the Twin Cities Rail Trail. Rail trails are one of the best projects that Mass DOT delivers, and you know, we're known for doing a lot of really big projects around the state. There are a lot of big, complicated bridge and roadway projects. They happen all the time, but these rail trail projects are some of the more complicated ones that we do, and they always draw a crowd. And although some of them, again, are not the largest ones in our portfolio, they are not easy. And it takes a lot of work to get these things done, and this one is no exception. We had 2 bridges as part of this project, including one that needed to be launched over Route 2. The future phase is one of the largest pedestrian bridges that we're going to be building in Massachusetts, and that's queued up for next year. And these projects, again, require a lot of public process, and they can take years to develop. There are a lot of land right issues to work through, and we develop strong partnerships with friends groups and associations and elected officials and everybody along the way to get these jobs done. And I can tell you that they are some of the most passionate and hardworking advocates out there, not only for getting the project launched, but for years to come, and for maintaining these rail trails to be in their pristine, beautiful condition for again, decades and decades to come afterwards. And partnerships is probably going to be the word of the day. You're going to hear that over and over again, I am sure, from many of our speakers today. Yeah, we have, again, partners on the local and state level, 2 different communities, and all of them were needed to work together to get this job done. These are fantastic investments in both Fitchburg and Leominster, and they will pay dividends for years to come. And this project is really going to directly support local and regional economic development by converting an unused rail bed that connects key areas of both Fitchburg and Leominster into an active space where both cities can support both cities' plans for economic growth and development. Unlocking access to downtown areas while also enhancing mobility to a safe and inviting corridor for all users. Now, for our first speaker, the vision and desire to invest in projects like this is embodied in our first speaker. Since the creation of Mass DOT, he has served in many roles along the way and has been critical in our evolution. And it's an evolution that uses transportation projects to enhance communities' quality of life. Please welcome Secretary Jamie Tesler.
First, it's great to be out here. Great to be out in your area of the woods, Jonathan, and I know you know this area really well and know how valuable this is. So I'm sure this is a great day for you and many others here. I want to first sort of take a step back and really talk about what makes this project, as Jonathan was describing, and this kind of project, really different from many of the other things we do. So there are a lot of people here. So, and we'll do this as quickly as we can. Raise your hand if you showed up for a meeting, we're advocating for this, over the years as a private citizen, have put in work, one way or another, to speak up or talk about this. All right? A lot of people. And to my understanding, that goes back at least as far as 2007, 15 years. So, and probably further, right? And that includes talking to us, talking to all the elected officials here, dealing with the community, dealing with the railroad we had to get the rights from, going through design. So what makes these projects different is that. Without the bottoms up leadership and dedication and persistence and passion, these things would not happen, these trails, because they really come from people who really find that opportunity in their community, know what they want, and help all of us and make us listen, hear, and act. And we're all making considerable investments. We have more dollars, we're doing more, and we're coming together to lead it. But I want to really make sure that we all appreciate. Some of us get to be here at the end, some of us get to cut a ribbon, some of us get to celebrate. But a lot of you just raised your hands. You were here at the beginning, and it was your vision and your leadership and your dedication. And without that, we wouldn't be here today. And we're not done. This is a step in a process. Not just in this trail, but the entire network across the Commonwealth. So Jonathan's right. When we go to these events, there is very few things we do that are happier. There are very few things that bring out bigger crowds. There's very few things that everybody says, let's do more. But I want to make sure to reinforce all those who raised their hand, thank you, keep going, and expect more of us. Because without that, we wouldn't be here today. I want to go to the next part of the partnerships because Jonathan touched on it. I want to thank both mayors. I want to thank our state elected officials and both the Senate and the House here. We need you as well as partners at the local and the state levels. We need these things to be funded. We need to pass the bond bill in the next 72 hours. That's pending. What's that?
Working on it.
Yeah, we need to get out of this so they can go vote on that for us. There's only $11 billion or so for the next 5 years that fund many of these things here. So, we want to keep them on track with that. Without the dedication and support of the mayors, who these things are hard, the bridges, the work, the different community meetings. So I really want to thank everybody at all levels at elected that we need to make this happen. And then I want to get to our district team. Headed by Barry Lorian, where Barry's hiding over there. And all of our district who have done the hard work with the crews, with the design team, to actually make this concept that you all pursued and pushed us on to get that done. And then all of our team, Pete Sutton's here, who took the train and the bike here to get here, and all of our team was really dedicated to these kind of projects. And lastly, I just want to sort of started with the specifics here, and I want to take a step back and just sort of give you the bigger picture. Some of you might know, but it's really worth knowing. The League of American Bicyclists rank every year the best state in the country for bicycling. And we've always had a decent ranking. I think the highest we had been until this year was number 5. But it's a ranking that we look at, one of those many things. This year, we're the number 1 state in the country for biking. And the reason... There's a reason for it. And the reason is where we began, and that's where I want to end, which it's the persistence and effort of everybody here who raised their hand, and many others who aren't here, to get here today, and to continue beyond here today. Because these things are really bearing fruit across the entire Commonwealth, not just here. And one of the ways we all got through the last few years, the hardest years we've been through together, is by being outdoors and enjoying the wonderful assets of the Commonwealth and being able to take advantage of these trails. And that has one of the things that made us resilient and strong. And you see it in the numbers, and you see it in all of our efforts. People are biking more and more and doing things outside. So this isn't an end point. This is just the next step. So it's great to be here today, but I'd ask everybody who has always pushed us to expect more in these bike paths, in these trails, and all the recreational work we do, to keep going, because it's really paying off. That number 1 ranking isn't a coincidence. It's deserved, and it's one we want to keep, and one that we want to grow. So I think I'm giving it back to Jonathan, and thank you everybody for being here today.
All right, thank you, Secretary. And before I introduce our next speaker, I do want to acknowledge a few more people. As the Secretary said, this is in District 3, led by Barry Lorian over here and his team. But in particular, I want to point out Arthur Frost. Arthur Frost has been our, thank you, Arthur. Arthur has been our project development engineer here in District 3 for many years. And when I first came to the district, I remember Arthur coming to me and saying, we have a number of really big projects in the queue, but one of the most important ones we have, especially from a connectivity and rail trail standpoint, is the Twin Cities Rail Trail. And he pointed out that this is, like a lot of rail trails, serves a really big need as far as community development goes, but also really serves a key commuting need. It really connects downtown Leominster to downtown Fitchburg. Really enables a lot of people to use this as a direct path to safely get in and out of the two downtown areas. So thank you, Arthur. And I also want to thank our contractor, J.H. Lynch, who's here, as well as the engineer on this job, Stantec, who has their team here as well, who resolved a lot of complications along the way. And finally, as the Secretary mentioned, I am a local. I'm just over the line in Lancaster, so I know the area well. And two of my most frequent critics are actually here. I want to point out my parents over here, Sarah and Dennis, who although I think I finally turned the tide with them as far as roundabouts go. All right. Now, partnerships in service are core tenets of our next speaker. After serving 2 tours in Afghanistan, he came home and became a veterans advocate. And this ability to focus on various levels of an issue is what made him a really strong partner for us when addressing transportation needs. Please welcome Senator John Cronin.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's such a privilege to be here with you today. Today is really a celebration, and from my seat, it was humbling to see how many people raised their hands. And today is truly a sign and a show of strength, and it just shows how strong our communities here are in Fitchburg and Leominster. That so many people, teams of teams, so many eras of people stepped up and participated in this project. In 2004, Congressman John Oliver secured $4 million. And here we are 18, yeah, that's good. So shout out to Tricia Pistone and Congressman Oliver for providing some dough. But it took 18 years to get here, which speaks to how complex it is. And I want to express my profound gratitude to everybody who played a part in it. But the best testament to your hard work and for stepping forward in your advocacy is to drive by every day, and we all do it. There's always somebody on the rail trail. And this rail trail belongs to everybody in this community. And it's a remarkable legacy for the people who raised their hands. It's something that's going to outlast all of us and be here for a really long time. And just provide so much benefit and quality of life to the people in the Twin Cities. So thank you all for making it a reality. Thank you to our mayors, my colleagues in the legislature, Rep. Kushmerek and Rep. Higgins, and I'm excited to get out on the trail with all of you.
All right, thank you, Senator. Our next speaker, the public service and partnership has been core tenets for her for many years. From running a nonprofit to being a counselor of people when they needed her the most. She brings this compassion and passion to the State House every day and is always looking for help to deliver projects like this one. All that is very impressive, but at MassDOT, one of the things that we like the most is that she is also the granddaughter of her DPW foreman, which is a really strong connection to the work that we do. Please welcome Representative Natalie Higgins.
Like so many of the speakers today, I am incredibly grateful to be with all of you and just grateful for the advocates who have worked for 2 decades to bring this project. And this is a really great day. We're not done. I'm also standing with my Fitchburg counterpart to say that we're going to continue to fight to make sure that the rest of this project comes as quickly as possible because we need to connect these 2 cities. And we know how important this is, and we know how many people rely on this safe route to get back and forth between Fitchburg and Leominster. And I'm just really grateful to be with you all today and to continue these great projects. And we brought a certificate of congratulations, and I'll pass it off to Larry from the Massachusetts State Legislature. Just thank you for not giving up and for your unrelentless advocacy to make sure that we got to today. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. And again, this is one of those projects that spans multiple towns, and so we had a lot of elected officials involved, which is great for us to get a really good project like this off the ground. So our next speaker exhibits yet another example of partnership and service. He has served on various city council roles. He learned valuable skills on how to show and start with a vision, build consensus, and find funding. All of these are really important for projects like this one. Please welcome Representative Michael Fitchburg.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. And I think you mentioned it. I started in 2013 as a city councilor, and 9 years later, we're at this point. And 9 years before I started on the city council were people with a vision and people who are securing funding in Washington, D.C., bringing it back to the state, forming focus groups and community groups, working hand in hand from Fitchburg to Leominster and throughout the region. Larry Casassa is someone here who's seen it all the way through. Larry, thank you. We talked about those partnerships. 3 different congressional seats have played a role in getting to today. One of those seats no longer exists anymore, so I think that is a testament to the work and the collaboration that goes in. And I think we say it time and time again. Senator Cronin is just an amazing regional advocate, working together across the entire delegation to ensure that there's strong regional partnership and collaboration, and nobody has been a better partner to me in the legislature than State Representative Natalie Higgins. This region collaborates better than anyone in the Commonwealth, and this is a testament to it. We may be rivals on the field across the street, but we are deeply linked. And this rail trail it further solidifies that sentiment, that we are one community, we are one region, and this rail trail will be here for decades and generations to come. I have a 3-month-old now. I cannot wait till I can teach him to ride his bike. Hopefully no crashes along the way down this rail trail. I'm excited to be able to join him probably a few years down the road, but I'm excited to do my first run and my first bike trip from downtown Fitchburg when we complete what will soon be one of the Commonwealth's longest pedestrian bridges in linking downtown Fitchburg to downtown Leominster. So thank you to our MassDOT team, Jonathan Gulliver, Barry Lorian, Mr. Secretary. You have such an amazing team here in the Commonwealth, and the work that they've been doing on the ground is second to none, and so we're so grateful to the work that you've done. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Representative. Our next speaker is not only the mayor of a great city in Massachusetts, but he is also a Mass DOT board member. And he is a staunch advocate for projects that we do each and every day, but especially, of course, ones that are going to be in his own backyard. It is this creative thinking and backed by the willingness to invest the $8.5 million needed for this project that he's going to bring to the table. He not only brings this vision to Leominster, but he really does bring it to MassDOT, and again, has been a really active board member for us. Please welcome the mayor of Leominster, Dean Mazzarella.
You know, we're lucky. We've got a great secretary and Jonathan. I mean, these people are remarkable. This is one project. They have projects scattered all over the state. Bridges. It is amazing to see this team together. It is incredible. So if your parents are here, I think they're pretty proud of you. But let me tell you, this is a big state, and there's a lot of projects going on. Let me just give a round of applause for them and the whole team at MassDOT. They do amazing things. My second meeting, it was on the agenda. I don't even know where I am. I don't know where what's that old room. I don't know where the bathrooms. I don't know anything. The governor said, "Would you like to be on MassDOT?" You're always complaining. There's no representation from the. Okay, I don't even know where I am. I don't know where. I parked at the State House and walked over, and on the agenda is the green line. It had gone from $1 billion to $3. 2, 3, 2 to 3 billion here, and I sat there and said, "I can't support this." Is like my second meeting. I'm going to be the renegade and say I can't support it. But anyway, it worked out okay, and they worked hard. They got the project numbers down, and everybody got their project. Congressman Over, he's not here today. He was invited, but let me tell you, there was a lot of pressure. He was on appropriations. There was a lot of pressure to take funding away from this project. Arthur Frost and I were 20 years younger, right, Arthur? And we've been through the meat grinder. But thank you to everybody that's here. I mean, everybody somehow, some way worked on this project. And, we knew we weren't about to back away from it when things got tough and when people wanted to tell us. There was 100 abutters on the Leominster side of this. And we want to thank Doris. And Doris, thank you. All the neighbors, John DeChico, all the neighbors. I mean, imagine this train had been deactivated. There was nothing here. Nothing. And all of a sudden, they want to put a bike trail behind your house. So we had over 100 neighbors and partners. We had a car dealership that was operating a full car dealership in the rear of the other car dealership that we didn't even know existed that was our property. Imagine that conversation. So if you're from our team here, the Leominster team, a lot of these people have moved on. They've got bigger and better jobs, and they've taken their skills and brought them other places. Raise your hand if you're Team Leominster here. Let me just give a thank you to them. Some have moved on to other places. But let me tell you, it's been an incredible project. And let me just say this. I think there are many things that a trail is. And one is that it's a nice place to take your kids and your family and ride your bike. But for the people that use public transportation, the people that work along this trail between Leominster and Fitchburg, and I've talked to so many who work in the service-related business, who work at maybe the hospital, or they work at one of the retail establishments or the hotel, or just choose not to have an automobile and use public transportation. This is a 5-in-1. This has 5 impacts in different areas to every one that a normal bike trail would have. That's the difference between this bike trail and other bike trails. And everybody that's here, somehow, some way, is responsible for this. And as the senator said, us eyes are always like, is anybody on the trail? Anybody coming over the bridge? In the middle of the project, the first bridge behind Longhorn, there was a really strange storm that hit. And it only hit the west side here, only hit the section. And it cut a complete ravine out where this first bridge is over here. So we were originally talking a little bridge, and it ended up in the middle of the project, like, we don't need this. But anyway, everybody got together again and worked together, state, feds, everybody, and we managed to pull that project. Remember that, Dick, when we came down, I thought it was just a little bit of earth that washed away. It was an entire ravine. I said, this is Colorado. It really was that bad, and we thought, where are we going to get the money to fund this? So thank you. Our police department has been out there patrolling regularly. Our DPW is out there. We have a person we hired to clean. We have some revenue coming in that we'll be working with the city of Fitchburg and the trail the trail stewards to be able to maintain it. And it really is, one of these community-wide effort. And it's taken 20 years, Arthur, huh? There's at least 20 years that we started talking about this, but because of you, this has happened. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. And our next speaker is the twin of the Twin Cities. He's spent a lot of time in the legislature. He knows what the issues are, especially with transportation, dealing with a lot of transportation issues in Rome right now, down to Fitchburg, making some really great positive changes right now. So he has worked tirelessly to bring these transformative projects to central Massachusetts, and especially to his city. Please welcome the Mayor of Fitchburg, Steve DiMatteo.
Thanks, Jonathan. It's always great to be back in my hometown.
We're gonna erect a monument.
That's right. Yeah, he's going to erect a monument. Yeah. This is an amenity that both cities can be proud of. It's what we're hoping, and we believe it will be. It will be a reason why you want to live, work, and play in the North County, particularly the Twin Cities. But you know, I think we talked about 15 years ago, we keep throwing out 15 years that this has been in the works. It's more like 20, isn't it, Dean? And all the while, this guy has been involved because he's the oldest serving mayor.
Why do I always get picked on?
No, because seriously, there is a rumor that when Leominster was incorporated, he was there in the 1800s.
I'm gonna go get my pickleball. You don't want to mess with them. Where's my pickleball friend?
But honestly, I want to say thank you to MassDOT. You guys have been terrific, and the Baker Polito administration. Our thanks go out to them, obviously, as well, and our local delegation. Again, we're hoping and we believe that this will become, this day today we'll look back on in 20 years when the rail trail has been here for that long, and we're going to be saying how wonderful the idea was, the concept, and the fact that we saw it through to its completion, and you're all responsible. I also want, the mayor had a shout out for his folks that worked on this. My people are here, our people, I should say. Tom Skowarski, where are you, Tom? There you are, okay. Amy LeBlanc, Amy's out there somewhere, and anyone else maybe that I'm missing. But thank you all, and great ribbon cutting. Congratulations to everyone involved. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And again, as both mayors just said, this was a long time in the making. So I also want to thank each respective city council that really, along the way for the last 20 years, additionally supported this project. Woo! Really, again, support and partnership at every level is needed to get these off the ground. And so we appreciate all of it. This project represents our statewide approach in how we grow, expand, and strengthen our transportation network, which has space for all modes, especially for shared use paths like this one. And projects like this would not come to fruition without a really strong local champion at the community level. And in that champion, we have in our next speaker, who, along with the entire Twin Cities Rail Trail Association, played a pivotal role in turning these old trails and what they are now today and what they're becoming. Please welcome Mr. Larry Casassa.
Well, it's been 20 years.
But you look the same.
We're here, finally. We're standing here and we're celebrating. Just phase one, by the way. We still have to do phase two, but it's so gratifying to actually be standing here today after all that time and effort on everyone's behalf. When we started the negotiations to purchase this rail corridor from CSX Corporation back in 2003, I think is my best memory, we had little more than a dream of turning it into a recreational alternative transportation corridor. Yes. Thank you. The spark that inspired us to move forward was that initial earmark from Congressman Olver. And Trish Pisoni of his office was instrumental in helping us hold on to that federal earmark because it took us years to actually negotiate the sale. At the very start, we knew this wasn't going to be easy. The two cities conducted an appraisal valuing the corridor at $1.5 million, while CSX insisted it was worth 4 times that amount. But our persistence eventually paid off, and we finally reached an agreement that was a lot closer to our original appraisal than theirs. I always find the hardest part of the celebration like this is remembering everyone who played a role in it. It's especially true for a project like ours, which lasted nearly 2 decades and took countless twists and turns on the way. And if your memory is as bad as mine, the challenge is even harder. So I make no pretense of remembering everyone, and I offer my apologies in advance. But I do want to mention a few of the unsung heroes in the process. Anyway, as I thought about this last night, it occurred to me that maybe that's the way it ought to be. That any community project that takes this much time and effort is rarely about a handful of individuals. It's about a whole community, and we made this happen. We should all share in the joy now that this effort has brought us. So thank you all. Having said all that, quick thank you to the following. Some of them have already been mentioned. The city reps from both cities on our association. In Fitchburg, Amy LeBlanc, who's been there from day one, and who in her own quiet way has done so much. Our current Executive Director of Community Development, Tom Skorowski, who more than capably took over management of that office when I retired a few years ago, and has been a great help throughout. On the Leominster side, it was a relay team. They never dropped the baton. Kerry Carn-Salwa, I believe she's here today, Lisa Liu, Nikki Peters, and now both Amanda Curtis and John Roseberry. Thank you. Then there's Sherry Dean of the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission, who's been on our association from day one and has been helpful in so many ways. Two people who inspired us from the start. Craig Della Penna for his leadership and knowledge about all things national and regional involving rail trails. And Andrea Freeman, who was one of our founding members and helped keep the flame lit during the most challenging times. Throughout this somewhat difficult and lengthy process, our two mayors, Steve DiNatale and Dean Mazzarella, and their respective city councils and our elected officials have done everything we've asked of them, and more than that. And we're not done asking, by the way. But we're so lucky to have had your support throughout this entire process. Thank you. This project involved a partnership of two separate state entities, MassDOT, of course, has in a leadership role, and the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. While MassDOT provided much of the funding and management for the project, EOEEA, through its Gateway Cities program, provided much of the design and acquisition funding for it. Kurt Gardner and his team, including Clarissa Rowe, were front and center throughout all the challenges of designing this project in a way that placed the community first. Finally, I'd be remiss if I failed to give a shout out, even though one of them's already gotten one, a shout out to both Arthur Frost and Pam Marquis. While many at MassDOT supported us, these two stood out, at least from our perspective at a local level. Arthur was among the first to recognize that this project checked all of the boxes and met all of MassDOT's priorities for alternative transportation, and he knew how important the project was to our two cities. He was there at every crossroad, pushing the process forward in his own amiable way while keeping everyone's eyes on the prize. Pam patiently and kindly helped us navigate the many bureaucratic hurdles involving right-of-way acquisitions and easements in a way that enabled us to use the federal funds for the purpose they were intended. So thank you, Arthur and Pam. It's truly been a pleasure to work with both of you. So this brings us to the present. And while it's great to congratulate ourselves on a job well done, let's not forget what a great gift this is to our two cities. And let's own it. This beautiful asset is what we make of it. That means getting involved in ways small and big, from picking up litter, becoming a sponsor, or just using the trail for its intended purpose. The long-term maintenance and ongoing improvements to this wonderful community asset will be costly. And the association is hopeful that our two communities will step up and support our efforts as an association to keep it in as good a condition as we've received it. We've already received support from several local businesses and individuals, and we're going to be approaching others as well. And we've also received a large donation from the Pix Test Armada Foundation, who's a former Leominster resident who was a bicycle enthusiast many years ago, to build an endowment that will enable us to ensure that the trail is well maintained in coming years. But we still have a long way to go, so please make a contribution if you can. Keep informed of the many events and current news regarding the trail by checking us out on our Facebook page, the Twin Cities Rail Trail Association. Some of our steering committee members are here today. I ask you now to please raise your hand if you're on our association steering committee. You can look around. These are the people from our two cities who have agreed to share in the responsibility for keeping this trail in as good a condition as it is now for the long term. To do our job well, we need your help and we need your support. Please say hi to them and ask them how you can get involved. That's all I've got. Thank you all. Let's go cut a ribbon.
All right, everybody ready? So grab a piece of ribbon with one hand and then get ready to clip with the other. And we'll do it on 3. Ready? All right, everybody look forward. 1, 2, 3.
All right. All right. I like how you did this diplomatically. You didn't use red, you didn't use blue.
That's right, exactly. I thought about
Very
that.
diplomatic.
Yeah.
Anybody wants a piece of the ribbon, get it now. The price is going up.